After for now.
No, that's
Share with you.
Which way?
You get the middle just by default, and they each like the two sides.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right, what are we doing here? You guys need an opening statement?
Go ahead, make an opening statement.
We're excited to be in the Lincoln, Nebraska Regional and fired up to play at 1 o'clock tomorrow. There's only one thing I have to say today is I'm surprised the governor hasn't canceled everything tomorrow so everybody can watch this match. Since the NCAA puts us at 1 o'clock, assuming that we know Nebraska will sell out and our fans better be ready to blow off the roof tomorrow night. That's all I got.
Afternoon.
Huh?
Tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow afternoon, yeah. At 1 o'clock, we can blow the roof off this place. I don't want any excuses they haven't had time to fire up. The students will be out there probably at 6 in the morning waiting.
Were you surprised to see that? Because the second year in a row you get one of the earlier time slots on this Thursday match. What was your reaction when you saw that?
No comment.
Well, Alexia Merritt, how do you like playing in the afternoon? You've had a couple Sunday matches where you've played during that. How do you adjust your practice, your kind of routine to get ready before those earlier matches?
I think today, obviously, we practiced early too, so it kind of helps to have the day before prepare us a little bit. It's obviously a little different of a feel, but at the end of the day, we're just playing volleyball, so we just kind of have to keep that mindset and not let those outside distractions affect our game and how we get ready for the game.
I believe there was one year, Penn State, did we play at 9 in the morning? Yeah, 9 in the morning. So I don't know, you got to figure that out. You guys do some investigative reporting and figure out why Nebraska's always going early.
Do you think that means the NCAA takes advantage that Nebraska will draw a huge audience whenever?
No
and plan
comment.
to show up?
No comment.
He's not mad about it, clearly.
I saw the time and I immediately was like, I wonder what you're thinking, so.
Hey, we're just happy to be playing.
How would you fix it?
Do what basketball does, spread it over 2 days. It should be no-brainer. Why not? So, but it took me 20 years of complaining about, why are regionals back-to-back nights? And what we used to do, and I remember my first year at Wisconsin, we got to a regionals, and we were actually hosting it. I think it was in '95, and we played Notre Dame. We didn't start because everything went late, so we didn't start till 9 o'clock at night. The match finished past midnight, and we had to play Florida at 1 o'clock the next day. You tell me that's good judgment by the NCAA. So now at least we've been fighting and to get a day in between, because these athletes are, they're maxing it out and they need recovery time. And that's the problem when you go back-to-back regionals, which I think was last year, the first year we did this, where there was a day in between. I mean, you've got people going late and then they get the early match and they don't even get enough time to recover. So, so we made a baby step. Let's take another step.
This is also a time of year, though, where you're not just balancing the NCAA tournament, you still have classes. So does that extra day, that space, allow you to also be able to balance a lot of these things a little bit more effectively that you wouldn't have been if they were always back-to-back? You kind of have a little more time, space to spread things out.
Yeah, I think so for sure. And I think the later the season goes, the more stressful it can get. So I think just having that extra day to get, whether it's recovery, school, seeing your family, whatever it is, that extra day kind of helps you manage all that stuff.
Lexi, after getting knocked out in this round last year, do you still kind of remember that feeling? And is there any, extra motivation from that?
Oh, yeah. I know we've talked as a team, and I mean, a lot of the team is new and wasn't here last year, but just from some of the returners from last year and just how we weren't satisfied at all with how that season ended. And this is a whole new team, a very competitive group of girls, and I think we're all just ready to get out there and just keep taking it game by game. And I know that Becca's fired up and ready to make it a lot farther this year. So,
John, when you start looking at Georgia Tech, their schedule, or on film, what gets your attention, Georgia Tech?
Well, they run a lot of different lineups, so I don't know if that's part of their design or they don't know who they want to play, but they can give 6-2, 5-1, and that's kind of Brazilian style. They're Brazilian coaches. They have 4 or 5 Brazilian players on their team. A girl from Argentina's. So that's one thing. They're very good volleyball players. You can tell they're experienced. They've got all the shots, and they've played a really tough schedule. They've competed really well, and it's a great regional semi matchup. I think all the matchups this year. I'm not sure there's ever been a year where I thought, man, there is going to be great matches all day long tomorrow, and they're all going to be super competitive.
Is that a result of the level of play?
Yes, yeah. And I can remember 10 years ago, our third round match was, we might be playing somebody okay, but I mean, these are all great matches. All these teams have a really good shot of being in the Final Four.
Merritt, where are you guys at in terms of balancing the excitement of this weekend and yet some of the nervousness, and how is this weekend any different than it was for this team last weekend?
I think we're, like Lexi said, just taking it day by day, and we always like to remind ourselves and each other that we're just playing volleyball. Like, we just had another practice like we did at the beginning of August, and so I think for us as a team, it's just making sure that we remain level-headed in that aspect and just treating it as another game. And obviously we're really, really excited, but I think it's also good to remind ourselves that we play volleyball for however many hours that day, and we do it every single day. So it's nothing different than what we did yesterday or what we did last weekend or 3 months ago.
What kind of environment are you two expecting tomorrow for a 1 p.m. start?
I've played a lot of matches here, and I feel like no matter what time of day it is, what time of the year it is, it's always packed, it's always loud, and they're always just ready to cheer us on and support us. So, I know Husker Nation will show up and they'll bring it. So I'm excited to see that.
I think another thing to add to that is, we haven't hosted a regional for 6 years now. So this is a new experience for our fans, because we haven't done it in a while, and so they ought to be pretty fired up. This is a big deal.
Is it nice to not have to travel yesterday?
Yeah.
Just how much did that make things just that much easier for you?
Well, the key is, what do you have to do the Thanksgiving week? If you're home, then this travel's okay, because you haven't traveled maybe in two or 3 weeks. If you're on the road that last Thanksgiving, and then you got to turn around and travel right away, it's been a quick, you would have had to leave. It's a pretty quick turnaround. So I think it's a huge advantage, and it's a great reward if you can be a top 4 seed. It's always one of our goals is to be a top 4 seed. But it's hard to do.
Any other questions?
I was gonna say, after we talked to you on Saturday, you had some key things that you wanted to work on. How do you think that practice has gone as a group, making some adjustments, like getting the middles going, just doing some different things this week as you prepare for this next set of games?
Well, I journal after every practice, so I could share that journal with you, but I'd be curious what these guys think.
I think each week we come into practice and the coaches have high expectations for us always, but there's always little slight changes for whatever we need to work on that week. And I think this entire season, but specifically this last week, we've done a really good job of whatever was asked of us, we're going to do our best to do. So I think, you specifically asked about the middles getting going and getting them involved. And I think they've been working really hard, especially with Bergen and kind of getting that connection down. But I think we do a good job every week of whatever coach and them ask of us, but I think the middles have been working really hard on that specifically, and they've done a really good job of that, and I think you can see that in their play the last few weeks.
Merritt, how do you feel like some of the younger players kind of handled their first tournament matches?
Yeah, I think they're doing a great job. It's really hard, and it's hard to manage it all during finals and things like that, but I think they're carrying themselves so gracefully and they're doing a great job, and I know that I'm super proud of them, but I think they also, what makes them so special is they do a really good job of just remembering that they play volleyball all the time and just treating it like another match, and I think they do a great job of that, and that's why they're able to handle it so well, but I think they've done a really good job.
John, you said all year long just about the gym, your practices are always at such a high level. Have you seen it like gradually grow throughout the year, or are you guys just kind of at the same place, humming right along? Like, how do you evaluate, I guess, the growth of this team and where you guys are at right now with 2 weeks left in the season?
Yeah, we're a much better team than we were 3 months ago. We're a much better team than we were a month ago. Our level has gone up in pretty much every skill. This team loves to train. I never have a problem motivating them in practice. Never. This whole year. They love to train and they love to get in there, and then what we try to do is we go in late in the season is we keep up in the ante. We got to make it a little harder. They got to get one more in a row to get out of that drill, and just try to keep raising the level. And these guys, they love it.
Merritt, is there any difference when you're playing against a team that runs a 6-2? I mean, are you doing anything different attacking wise? You see any different looks up at the net?
I would say obviously it's different from a blocking standpoint just because you're not in the 5-1 rotations, but I think for the most part, I mean, it gives us a little bit of an advantage if we need to recycle and things like that. That's what we've worked on. There's always a setter in the back row that we can go to and put them out of system, but I think for the most part, there's slight difference defensively just because there's 6 attackers in the front row compared to 5 normally, but for the most part, I mean, it's volleyball, it's going to happen, and we've played Wisconsin runs a 6-2, like we've played teams that run 6-2s this year, so just another game. They just happen to run a 6-2.
John, how is Lindsay coming along?
She was in practice today. She's getting better every day.
Is she closer to playing?
I'll tell her you asked. She's getting close, but she's got to turn it loose in practice for a whole practice yet. We're not there. We've gone through most of practice. Like she did everything today, so, but still ways away.
Lexi, why do you think coach hasn't had to motivate this team during practice, be ready for practice and have good practices?
I think everyone just has such a passion for getting better, and I think everyone's really bought into this team and the goals that we set at the beginning of the year, and we knew that it was going to be a long season and that we were going to have to get after it every day, but every single person, all 14 of us and the entire coaching staff was bought into getting a little bit better each and every day, and I mean, it's a huge props to all the coaches because it's hard to ask so much of a team at the end of the season, but they're constantly asking us to just get a little bit better at what we're doing. And I think that says a lot about our staff and just this team and where we want to go.
Lexi, with each passing match, does the weight of being the #1 overall seed grow larger, or did you guys just kind of learn how to deal with that pressure during the season, being towards the top of the league and the top of the country?
I feel like we've been learning all year long and just trying to keep those outside factors outside and just worrying about our side of the net. And that's been something we've prioritized, is just focusing on how we can play our type of volleyball and not worry about what seed we are, who we're playing, any of that, because at the end of the day, it just comes down to how we play.
One more?
I know Merritt gave you a lot of credit, Lexi, last week when she was without the boys for setting up this vocal. How happy are you that she has this?
Oh, yeah, I'm very happy. I'm not the most vocal all the time, so, I mean, I really had to step outside my comfort zone, but, I mean, I love just having her on the court, whether she has a voice or not.
All right, thank you.
Okay, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Come on. Keep grilling these.